Police brutality. And I've works cited from vidatinia.org and also the Forbes.com. Images from Google.com as well. Why fear the police when they are here to protect the people? Have you ever had an encounter with the police, such as being put over or speeding, perhaps? People struggle every day trying to avoid police brutality, racial profiling, and mistreatment of officers. And over-sentencing are at its all-time high. And these are all examples of police brutality. So to begin, racial profiling. Racial profiling happens every day. It could be because of the race. It could be because of the vehicle that you're driving or the neighborhood that you're in. I have experienced racial profiling on several occasions, just being pulled over for a tail light when ultimately my tail light wasn't broken. This is what happens often in certain communities, just to be pulled over just because. Also, secondly, outside of racial profiling, mistreatment of the officers. There was a really big situation that happened in 2020 in regards to George Floyd. George Floyd was killed in the hands of a police officer when he was held down and let everyone know that he could not breathe, but the officer did not let off of him, so he ended up losing his life. We also have an individual back in 2016, Michael Brown, who lost his life. That was a really huge case. These particular cases, there was many more outside of them in between 2020 and, of course, years ago. However, these are just have been some most common names that have rung a bell recently, especially the George Floyd that had America protesting for weeks. We still have people out protesting in regards to the George Floyd, Black Lives Movement, I Can't Breathe movement in regards to Michael Brown. In regards to that particular movement, I did go out and protest on behalf of the community. Of course, peaceful protesting, holding up my signs and just chanting, I can't breathe, to let the community know the point we're trying to get across in regards to just having fair treatment. And that goes to the third point that I make in regards to police brutality would be mistreatment of the officers in regards to over-sentencing. Over-sentencing happens when perhaps you do a crime and you are sentenced to time in prison or jail time, and the particular sentencing is extremely high. For instance, I do have a cousin who did an armed robbery. He was sentenced to over 80 years in prison. On another note, I have a cousin who was murdered 2 years ago from a gentleman, and the gentleman only received 5 years in prison. So those are the comparisons that you'll see between one, okay, you'll do something such as an armed robbery and get many, many years in prison, but then B, you can kill someone because they're within your own race and you only get 5 years in prison. So that's the confusion that people do have the justice system in regards to the police brutality. I have lived long enough to know now that I have my phone ready to record in regards to police brutality. I encourage everyone to A, have a dash cam in their car, and B, always have their phone. Of course, this is 2020, 21st century. Mostly everyone has some type of technology device. So I advise everyone to have a technology device for recording purposes. This is going to be if A, you may see someone pulled over, being harassed, or you may feel like police brutality is in the making. You can pull out your phone just to record, just to have evidence of the case of that particular day. Also with the dash cam, and this goes for individuals that are getting pulled over, they can have the opportunity to know what to do in that time, to press the dash cam to record. So if anything violent happens at that time, then it is on recording. So those are just some things that people can do to try to avoid police brutality, or in fact have it in on camera. And then of course, abide by the law, which is most important, as well as just following the pros of commands when you are pulled over, or when dealing with the officer, they ask to see your ID or your driver's license, just to cooperate with them so you do not make the situation worse. When you feel like you should fear the protector, you lean to your own understanding. So the community, or some communities, feel as though the police are not protecting them, so they lead to their own understanding, such as, if, for instance, if someone gets killed, then you may have an individual take that in their own hands, versus calling the police, which is the protocol to do. Call the police, let them know what happened, or call 911 perhaps, and tell them what happened. And that would, in fact, lead to, if there's a police officer that comes out, fired, or ambulance, or whoever you would need to help with the emergency. You'll have individuals take matters in their own hands if they fear the police, and then that may turn into something dramatic as well. So I do advise everyone to be aware of what's going on with police brutality, just to try to make the world a better place by having the best officers out there on the force, and doing what's best for the community is what's most important. Police brutality is important not just in America, but all over the world. And some of the stats that I got from our website here that I mentioned, of the Vitidia.org, there has been several cases of police brutality where, as I mentioned, individuals have lost their lives. So just be aware of what's going on. Thank you.